Hey guys, it's Lamby here, and in this just brief episode, we're just gonna be having a bit of a story time. You could call it a story time with Lammy if you really wanted it to, 'cause that's what I'm gonna be titling the video. But in this one, we're just gonna be going back about 2 years into the vacation where my family and I went to New Orleans, and it was just me, my mom, her mom, which is my grandmother, and my younger brother. And we had a hotel like right across from the French district, and all you had to do to get to the French district was pass over this tramway of sorts, really, and it was just about like 200 feet wide. So, and there was a street running through it and all that good stuff. And that's all you had to do to get to the French district. So we were rather close to where we were spending most of our time. And if you don't know anything about New Orleans, the French district is really popular, along with probably the most notorious place, Bourbon Street. And we had spent the first night there just traveling around French district, taking all those fancy dancy tours for us tourists. And but the second night we went out shopping, obviously, because we're tourists, and we, being us and tourists, decided to hit up the famous Bourbon Street. And to get there, we had to pass the tramway, right? Oh, because it was right between us and the French district, which is where Bourbon Street is, or at least is connected to the French district. And the tramway was a bit of a more modern, like, bit on in New Orleans. It wasn't really part of the French district. It was just kind of that bit that separated it from the hotels and all that good stuff. So there was a theater, a lid shop, a lid store, which is like a hat shop, if you don't know what that is. I don't really know if they're nationwide or whatever. And then there were a couple pharmacies. And so we were passing by the theater, and there were two people sitting outside of this theater, and they were obviously homeless. And there was a man and a woman, and the man had a dog and a bottle of whatever he had decided to drink away his sorrows on that night. Should have shared. Anyway, and this woman had neither of those, and she really wanted the dog, because everybody knows a dog is a man's best friend, and homeless women will always try and steal it from you. Am I right? I heard that somewhere. I heard that. But so this man, he was just minding his own business, really. But as we walked by, this girl decided to try and take the dog. This dog, and it was a fairly well kept dog, if I'm being honest. It seemed to be fed and like somewhat clean. He had a leash for it and everything. And so he obviously really liked this dog, but this woman decided it had to be hers, and so they were really going at it. She would yell at him, he would pet his dog. She would punch at him, he would pet his dog, and she would call him very rude slurs, and he would pet his dog. And it went on like this for a bit, because I had stopped to watch, because everybody knows when homeless people fight, you don't not watch. It's a rare commodity for these small town folks. And come about 4 minutes, she did what no one should have done, and what everybody knew not to do. She didn't punch him. She didn't kick him. She didn't spit on him. She didn't even steal his booze. She grabbed the dog's leash. And now, this man had been pretty docile up to this point, but now that this woman had grabbed his dog's leash, he wasn't having it. No more was he the docile homeless man sitting outside of a cinema on the tramway of the French district in New Orleans. Now, he was a Superman of sorts, fighting for the justice of his dog. He sprouted wings and grew a halo. No, but in all seriousness, this guy moved faster than I've ever seen a drunk homeless man move. He decked this woman in this face so fast that I didn't even think it was over. I didn't even think he had moved. It was so fast. He was not letting her get away with his dog. It was pow, done for, and she was out. She was flatter than the pavement she was laying on. 10 out of 10 metaphor right there. But this didn't even end the night, because he got up, took his dog, and left. It was over. He was done. He didn't even take his booze. He left them there. She probably took those when she woke up. If she woke up, I'm not even sure she was alive by the end of that. But that's not where the night ends. We have another event on Bourbon Street, because once we finally made it and seen what had to be seen near that fateful cinema that night, we kept going. We were not gonna stop. So we get to Bourbon Street, and I mean, there are obvious sights, like a lot of girls there. One who was carrying a inflatable dick that said "just married" on it, which I thought was a weird way to show you just got married. But hey, you do you, peeps. You do you. And if that's Bourbon Street with an inflated dick, have at it. But we saw that, and then there was a man leaning against a wall with a bottle of whatever he had decided to drink. And no, this is not the same guy. He did not have a dog, and he definitely was not the same homeless man. I'm not even sure this guy was homeless. He might have just had a really bad night. But we just pass him because, I mean, he looks a little shady. He's got some torn up pants and a pretty dirty shirt. And we just keep walking. We just like go to some shops on Bourbon Street, like see all the bars and like their special deals. Obviously, being 14, I don't go into any of them, and neither does my brother. But we just keep like seeing the sights. And it's probably an hour later, and we decided to go back. We were like, we know what, we've seen the sights. We've bought some stuff. We've been tourists. I've seen an inflated dick. I'm 14. My night is over. And so we were headed back. And come like the 2 hours later on our way back, this guy, he's still just hanging there, you know, and I'm starting to think he's part of the wall, but boy am I wrong, because right as we're passing by, and this is not a joke, an ambulance just pulls up in the middle of the street, and they throw him on a stretcher and pronounce him dead. Like, I'm not kidding. They take his vital signs. He is no longer holding the bottle that he had been slumped over with. He is just laying on a stretcher, dead. We watched this guy's last moments on Bourbon Street. Now, if that is not sobering, pun intended, then I don't know what is. But we just went home. And that was it. We saw a dead guy on the street drinking himself to death or something. I really don't know how he died. He was just dead by the end of the night. So I can sum up my New Orleans trip in 3 main points: homeless people fighting for their dogs, inflatable penises, and dead drunk guys on walls. And if that doesn't sum up New Orleans, then I really don't know what does. So thanks for listening. If you liked the video, leave it in the comments, like it, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Lamby out.